Alrighty guys, so this video is about making slip. Now slip is the wettest form of clay. So we've got some plastic clay here that we're going to be bringing back a stage by adding a little water to it. And the ultimate goal with slip is to have sort of a yogurt-like consistency. It doesn't need to be perfectly smooth, but you definitely want it wetter than this. The use for slip is to use it as a glue. It's good for attaching pieces together. Some people use water, and while water can work, it's not a guarantee that things are going to stick together the way they're supposed to. Slip really does a good job of making sure things stay together. You still need to score and slip and blend, but it's going to really give it a good attachment. So you're going to need a small container like this, and you're going to need to use this throughout the semester. So once you make your slip container, it's kind of something you're going to maintain. You may need to add more and make more slip. You can always refer back to this video if you ever have to do that and you forget how. And you're just going to need a couple of things here to make your slip. You're going to need some water, and you're going to need some clay. Now, can you just put clay in here and wet it down? You can, but you're kind of making your life a little more difficult. What I like to do is kind of just pinch it into little pieces. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and do this here. And I'm not going to make as much slip as you might want to make for yourself, because if you make a good amount, then it'll just be that much more. It'll last you. But I would take, a piece of your clay and really make some slip. We're going to just pinch pieces off here so you can see I've got pieces. And now that I have some pieces, I'm going to go ahead and pour some water into this. I'm just going to start with a little bit, okay? And what I want to do is just kind of push this clay down into the water with my fork so it starts taking on that water, okay? So I'm going to just push it into the parts of the container where the water's sitting, and I'm just going to kind of continue working here. So what the clay is going to do is it's going to start absorbing the water. It's going to start getting softer and softer. And again, if you just sit here and kind of pinch pieces, what this does is it creates more surface area for the water to absorb into the clay. If you just put a big piece in here, then the water is, only going to get to the outside. So doing it this way really does a nice job of kind of getting to this slip consistency a lot sooner. So when you get your first batch of clay, I'm going to give you a little bit extra so you have enough to make some slip for yourself. Alrighty. The other thing you could do if you're sort of worried about keeping things neat inside of the container is use a bigger bowl, like just any kind of a ceramic bowl or something from the kitchen, to actually make the slip, and then you could pour it into this container. All right, or kind of spoon it into. So you can see I'm going to use my fork here, and I'm going to start just kind of mashing this, okay? Be careful if you have plastic silverware like I do. This is going to get a little bit messy, but you can see it's starting to kind of break down, right? If you have metal silverware, you can really get into this and start making your slip. It's getting softer. I'm going to add just a little more water now that I've got a nice consistency going here. What you'll notice is that the water starts to get muddy and it's taking on that clay type consistency, right? I'm going to go ahead and just add a little more water to this. So you don't want to pour a bunch in at a time, because then you might end up with like too thin, and then you're going to have to add a lot of clay. So, just do little bits of water at a time. The other thing is, if you're the kind of person where you're, not afraid to get your hands dirty, and guys, I got to say this, but you are going to get your hands dirty this semester. There's not really a way around that. So, but the nice thing is clay is, it's easier to clean up. It just kind of washes off. Okay, now, this is getting towards slip. It's not quite there yet, but I'm just continuously mixing this. Try not to fling it anywhere or do anything crazy, okay? But you can get your fingers in here too and start mashing this. So like if this makes it easier for you, really get in there and start mashing it up. And you guys will start to see it's almost like mud, right? I'm just kind of creating mud for myself. And this is going to be that good glue that you need. That's probably all the water I'm going to need. And honestly, guys, it doesn't get much messier than this. You know, making your slip is probably the most mess intensive process, but it does pay off. And again, if you don't want to get yourself messy, you can use your t-shirt to wipe your hands clean. All right, now you guys can see this is really mushing down now. It's taking a lot less work. So this right here, this is good slip. And, you know, as this sits, it might smooth out even more. And, you know, if you feel like it starts to get dry, like it's not really the consistency that you're going for, then you can always add a little more water to it too. But this right here, this is good slip. So it's got a little bit of mush to it. Okay, and you can, like I said, you can kind of continue to blend that. But that's a nice consistency there. Okay, when it comes to cleanup, obviously use a sink and some water, and you can rinse your tools clean and stuff too. Okay, anything that dries with clay on it, it's gonna eventually just turn to dust. So if you leave this like this, it'll dry, and then you can kind of just break this off. But I like to kind of keep my tools as clean as possible. Same with this. So this is, you know, nice consistency for our slip. Always make sure you keep your lid on your slip when you're not using it. If you're working, it's okay to have the lid off. But when you're just kind of letting things sit around, you're not working on it actively, have your lid on here. Okay, nice and tight. So you want to make sure you have a nice airtight lid. Okay, and that's how you make your slip. And then you go clean up.